students. Welcome back to another math lesson. We are doing lesson 6.8 today. Please go ahead and get your big math workbook and turn to page 241 so you can go ahead and follow along with me. So pause this video until you have your workbook page on 241 ready to go and a pencil. Okay, now that you are ready to learn your math for today, we're going to do some practice with fact families. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look at an array and we're going to write 4 division problems, or not division, 2 division and 2 multiplication equations for each array. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 equations. Now an equation would be like 3 times 5 equals 15. That would be an equation, okay? It's a math problem. So first we're going to start writing 2 multiplication facts for this array. Well, remember, an array would be how many rows of how many? So how many rows do we have here? Remember that rows go across. Okay, rows go across. So how many rows do I have here? Well, sometimes I like to circle my rows. You might not like to. That's fine. You don't have to. But I have 1, 2, 3 rows of how many? 3 rows of 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be 3 times 6. Okay, so 3 times 6 equals what? Well, I could do 2 things. I could skip count by 3s until I get to 6. I could do 3 groups of 6 and count it out. Or I could count however many tiles I have here. So I could do 3 groups of 6. How many would that be? So I'm going to skip count 6s and 3s. So 3 groups of 6 would be 6, 12, 18. And that's 3 groups, so it would be 18. 6, 12, 18. So that means there's 18 in 3 times 6. Now, if I wanted to do another multiplication equation here, I would just flip-flop the 3 and the 6. And I would go 6 times 3 equals 18. Now that array would look different. It would just be flip-flopped, okay? It'd be kind of like flipped around. It would be 6 rows of 3, but it still equals 18. Now, 3 and 4 are going to be division equations, okay? So in a division equation, we always put the biggest number, the total number of objects first. The total number of objects is 18, right? That's the biggest number. 18 divided by how many rows do we have? 3 rows, so 18 divided by 3 equals how many in each row? 6. 18 divided by 3 equals 6. And if I want to write another division equation, I would do 18 divided by 6 equals 3. I would just flip-flop the 3 and the 6. So that's 4 equations that represent this array. So let's go on to number 2. I'm going to make 4 equations starting with multiplication. So to write a multiplication fact for this array, I have to think how many rows of how many? Well, I have 2 rows, right? I have 1 row and then 2 rows. So 2 rows of how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 rows of 7 equals what? Well, you can just count 2 groups of 7. 2 groups of 7 would be 7, 14. So 2 times 7 is 14. And then if I want to write another multiplication, I just flip-flop the 7 and the 2. So I go 7 times 2 equals 14. To write a division equation, I have to put the biggest number first, which is 14. That's the total number of objects, divided by the number of rows I have, or the number of groups. And I have 2 rows here. 1, 2. 14 divided by 2 equals how many in each row? 7, right? And then to write another division equation, I go 14 divided by 7 equals 2. I just flip-flop those. That's called a fact family. So that means that 3, 6, and 18 are in a fact family, and 2, 7, and 14 are in a fact family. I want you to go ahead and do 4 equations for number 8, which is right here. It's really our number 3. But I want you to do 4 equations for this array, 2 multiplication and 2 division. And go ahead and pause this video until you have that solved, and then we'll go over it together. Okay, now that you've solved that problem, the multiplication fact would be 3 rows of 4 equals 12. Hopefully you got that down for the multiplication fact. If I flip-flop the 3 and the 4, it turns into 4 times 3 equals 12. If I want to do a division, the biggest number always goes at the beginning of the division problem because it's the total number of objects that you are dividing up into groups. So 12 divided by 3 groups, because I have 3 rows, equals 4 in each row. And to make even another one, we do 12 divided by 4 equals 3. That would be 12 divided by 4 groups equals 3 in each group. All right, now that we've done some practice with writing multiplication and division problem for arrays, we are going to just look at a fact family and write some facts related to them. So it says, write the related facts for the set of numbers. So our first fact family is 2, 5, and 10. Well, I want to write 2 multiplication problems and 2 division problems for 2, 5, and 10. What is a multiplication problem I could write for 2, 5, and 10? If you're thinking 2 times 5, that would be right. Or you might be thinking 5 times 2. Either one of those is right. So I'm going to write 2 times 5 equals 10. And then for my next multiplication fact, I'm just going to switch those numbers around and do 5 times 2 equals 10. You might have done 5 times 2 in the front, and that's fine at the first one. It doesn't really matter what order because we don't have an array that we are looking at for this problem. Now to write a division fact, we always take the biggest number, which is 10, and divide it by either 5 or 2. I'm going to do 10 divided by 2 equals 5. And then for my last equation in this problem, I will do 10 divided by 5 equals 2. Okay. Next, we have the fact family of 3, 8, and 24. I'm going to write 4 facts, 4 equations here, starting with multiplication. Well, if I have 3, 8, and 24, what is a multiplication fact I can use? If you're thinking 3 times 8 equals 24, or 8 times 3 equals 24, you're correct. I'm just going to say 3 times 8 equals 24, and then I will flip-flop the 3 and the 8 for the next one. 8 times 3 equals 24. For my division, I always take the biggest number first, and I go 24 divided by, and you could do either 8 or 3 here. I'm going to say 3 equals 8. And then the last one, 24 divided by 8 equals 3. I want you to do problem 11 on your own with 6, 6, and 36, and then we will correct that. So go ahead and pause this video until you have that problem solved. Okay, now that you've done problem 11, let's come up with 4 equations. So starting with multiplication, we go 6 times 6 equals 36. 6 groups of 6. And then I can switch it and do 6 times 6 equals 36, which it doesn't really work that well in this problem because we have 2 of the same number. And then for division, we do 36 divided by 6 equals 6. And then 36 divided by 6 equals 6. So hopefully that is what you have. All right, that is going to be it for today. Now you have a seesaw assignment to do on your own, and I will see you all next time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.